Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again. It's been a while since I gave my last talk. Today, I'm going to be talking about the difference between education and a certificate. In other words, what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to be exploring the difference between educated person and a certificated person. These are the two things that are often interlinked. However, there is much evidence to suggest that they are quite different. Now, let's start by saying educated, by exploring or trying to, explore what we mean by educated person. An educated person is a person who has accumulated knowledge in a various way and able to interpret it to the benefit of societies. That knowledge could be, accumulated through learning, could be accumulated through observations and through exposures. And then on the other hand, a certificated person could have degrees, qualifications from best universities. But for him or her to accumulate or obtain those certificate or qualification, it happens in different ways. You might find that people who have got power within those establishment or institution, they favor that person due to the various reasons. Maybe the person is connected, it's known or so like that. They can facilitate for that person to get those certificate or degrees. But necessarily that person does not have to be clever or educated, just have to have papers that he can use, and then through those papers he can then be able to access some basic resources to make him to appear in public as a person who is informed. But when you listen to them, the person, you might find that he doesn't have impact in society, even his families. That's a certificated person. In the simple fact, a certificated person possesses papers to prove that he has knowledge. Whereas an educated person, he does not have to be in the position of a particular papers. You can, through engagement with that person, a common person or any person can see that this person is erudite. It's well informed. That's that is distinction between two. Now these two, educated and educated and certificated person, there's so-called rivalries. A certificated person has connection with institutions in most cases, so therefore he operates within a certain paradigm or ideological discourses where he has to make sure that a certificated, educated person is being suppressed. But in the modern world, a certificated person is the one who often given the so-called exposure, simply because of the fact that certificate in many civilizations like African concept, it's not it's not a measure of intelligence, but in many countries, once you possess certificate in material resources, you are elevated into the status of the intellectual or intelligentsia, which is not a case in African context. Now, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that we cannot dispute that fact that sometimes certifications and education can go together. But however, we need to make it a point that not always not always a case an educated person or a certificated person is educated person. You can have PhD or even master's degree in different discipline, but still lack knowledge, lack of knowledge. Because simple, those are papers. You go and memorize, and then and maybe in order for you to get so-called to be recognized. Whereas an educated person is the person who is informed by environment. He's able to articulate what he observes, what he learns. If you look at most earliest philosophers, scientists, They were just using common knowledge, common science, and they turn into scientific understanding. That's what we can say about these kinds of things. So we need to bear in mind that when we're trying to explain these things, sometimes it can create some sort of confusion. However, I'll be back again to clarify some of these issues in detail so that we can be able to move forward with understanding what basically educated person and certificated person really means. Okay, sharp.